everybody, it's Paula. Welcome to my channel, Stitching in High Heels, where I talk about my love of cross stitch and some other crafts if I happen to partake, but usually it's cross stitch. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you find something that you like and that you'll like this particular episode, that you'll subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified when I record another episode, and whenever that may be. And all the YouTube things. If you've already subscribed and you're a returning friend, I really appreciate you guys coming back and sticking with me. I know it's been probably 4 months since I recorded last, at least 4 months, possibly 5. So I really appreciate you coming back. Again, thanks for spending part of your day, evening, morning with me. It means a lot. I do these mostly for me, but it was a lot of fun to go to the Queen City Stitch Retreat and have people say, hey, I've watched your videos. So that was really cool. Before I go any further, it's Wednesday, November 20th. It's about 6, well, now it's 7 at night here in upstate New York. I recorded 3/4 of my video, only to find out that it was, I thought I recorded 3/4 of this, only to find out that I forgot to put the memory card back in the camera and nothing had recorded. So hopefully I won't be quite as scattered as the last time I filmed this, and we'll get through it. So first of all, I want to give a big a big thank you to Pam and Steph from Just Keep Stitching. They mentioned me as their gold FlossTuber in their last episode. I was watching it while I was doing some work, and I almost fell out of my chair to hear my channel mentioned. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much. I'll link Pam and Steph down below. I'm sure most of you guys are watching them because they're kind of one of the OG channels, right? So thank you. If you've come here from their mention, I appreciate it. Like I said, I hope you find something you like and you'll stay with me. So, where have I been? What have I done? I think the last time I filmed was possibly the beginning of July. I didn't look back. But I know I was talking about going on vacation to Tennessee. So we did that. We were gone for 2 weeks when we included our travel time. We spent a lot of time exploring most of the state of Tennessee. We didn't really get over to Nashville, but we spent time really driving around most of eastern Tennessee and central Tennessee. We hooked up with a realtor because our ultimate goal within the next year to year and a half is to have moved there. I think we've kind of settled on eastern Tennessee as our preferred area. So that's exciting, terrifying, a lot of work, all that kind of stuff. Anybody who has moved or is moving knows all about that. And having mentioned that, definitely have been thinking about people affected by Helene in western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee. We also made a second trip to Tennessee in September to watch an NASCAR race, and we looked at a couple more houses while we were down there, so we didn't want to waste an opportunity. And the other travel that I've done is I went to Charlotte for this year's Queen City Stitch Retreat, where the featured designers were Autumn Lane Stitchery, which is Erin and Cassandra. So that was a lot of fun. I'm not going to talk in great detail about the retreat because there are some great videos out there that are already doing that. Deb, the traveling stocking stitcher, did a wonderful retreat recap and talked about being a first-time attendee and how welcoming this retreat is. And I agree 100%. I would say, you know, if you want to go, sign up. If you get selected and you're going by yourself and you don't know anybody else in a room, you're just going to have 143 friends within the first couple hours of being there. Everybody is incredibly welcoming. Thank you to Amy and Maggie and Allie Z and Catherine and all the other folks who worked so hard to put that retreat on. I know I'm forgetting some people, and I apologize. but it's a truly, truly wonderful environment, and there's so much energy in the room. And like my table, I sat with 5 women that I didn't know before I got there. We all were kind of sitting out in the lobby area earlier in the day, stitching together. We decided to share a table once we went inside. And so Jennifer, Dana, Melissa, Tina, and Shannon, thank you for a wonderful weekend. We had a lot of fun. You know, it was somebody to, we visited a lot, found we had lots of stitching interests in common, other interests in common. You know, if we wanted to go eat together, there was a group to go eat with. No pressure. It was a lot of fun. So, like I said, Deb, the traveling stocking stitcher, does a great video. And Kelly from Pages and Stitches, it's actually Pages, the number 3 Stitches, she does a really great video where she films conversations with people who were willing to appear in her video, talking about what they're working on, showing what people are working on. She showed the brag table, she showed some of the Q&A from Aaron and Cassandra, so she's got a great video. I'll link that one down below too. Had some really cool fangirl moments. I got to meet Deb, the traveling stocking stitcher. Hi, Deb. I've been watching her videos, and her work is even more beautiful in person. And I told her, I said, I feel like I could sit and talk with her for ages. We weren't at the same table, but maybe next year or at another retreat, that would be cool. And I got to meet Stacy, the 911 stitcher. That was another really cool moment. And Michelle from Made by Michelle McGraw. And they are both as friendly and warm and welcoming and just overall good people like they are on their videos. And they both were doing some beautiful work. It was a lot of fun to see what they were working on. And of course, I met Kelly last year. I got to see her again this year. That was fun. Rachel from Licking Floss. She was at the retreat last year, and I met her and got to see her again and what she was working on too. So that was fun. If I met you and I forgot to mention you here, please know it's just a matter of being a month since the retreat, and my brain is mush. Partly because after I came home from the retreat, I got home on Sunday, and on Friday I had surgery on my foot. It was planned. I had injured my foot, and it was time to have it fixed. And I totally underestimated exactly the impact it would have, I guess, is the best. I was thinking about a few years ago I had to have a hip replaced, and totally not even thinking about the fact that there's way more nerves in your foot than in your hip, right? In your hip joint. My hip, I had to do physical therapy, but they wanted me up and around and moving around, and between being supposed to stay off my foot and more nerves involved, more pain, it was just a different, it hit me harder than I really expected. But we're on the mend now, and I've actually been able to get up to my craft room to film this. So I'm trying to get through this really quickly. First of all, I know some of you have said that you do like videos in the half an hour, 40-minute range, so we'll try to keep it to that. I've got a lot to share. But the other thing is my husband cooks for a deer hunting camp, and he's gone for 2 weeks, and our dogs are downstairs probably thinking it's dinner time, so we may have some barking to contend with, and I want to get through this before they get super crazy. So that's pretty much all the rambling backgroundy stuff. And let's jump into my stitching. So I did have some FFOs, and this is part of why I wasn't filming. I'm going to have to put pictures in here, or maybe over here, wherever I get them in. They're an Autumn Lane design. They're Holly, I think it's Holly Elf, Holly Fairy, I forget which. But I stitched it for gifts for the retreat, and even though I changed up the colors, and these are a fun stitch, Erin, the charts are great. They're easy to read. I love the way the back stitching adds dimension. They're definitely great designs to stitch. I have a whole new appreciation for anybody who stitches any design, no matter what size, more than once. Because of course, you know, I had this great idea in like July that I was going to stitch these as the gifts, and yeah, I didn't start until the end of August, beginning of September, as stitchers are wont to do, right? That's what we do. And then I also stitched Frosty the Snowman, which you'll also see here as my smalls exchange piece. Oh, and one more thing about the retreat. We did a smalls exchange, and Melissa, who sat at my table, I got her exchange, and we were asked to put not only a fully finished stitch small together, but a little package of some other items. Nothing expensive, nothing crazy, but it was a lot of fun. And my gift or my exchange came in this great little peachy keen pouch from Melissa. She's from Georgia, so that was appropriate, the Peach State. And she stitched a Mill Hill ornament, which I absolutely love. Hopefully you can see how sparkly this is. Yeah, you're seeing some of it there. This is, I can't wait to put this on the tree. I love these Mill Hill ornaments. I haven't stitched a lot of them, and this is a very welcome addition to my tree this year. Thank you, Melissa. And then the other thing that we had to do was wrap our package in a fat quarter of fabric, any count, any color. And Melissa gave me this real pretty, I think it's khaki. The lighting is crap in here tonight. Oh, that's kind of it. Because, you know, it's November and it gets dark. Let me see if I hold it against some white, if we can get a little sense of the color. But it's a gorgeous piece of Aida. Looks like maybe 16 count. And it's a fat quarter, so I'll have plenty to stitch something on. You can see a little bit there. So, thank you again, Melissa. There were a whole bunch of other things in here, and most of them I've been using because I admit I didn't know when I was going to get a video filmed. So one of the things I've been really enjoying is she included a packet of wax melts in here that are peach fragranced, and it's lovely. And I've been kind of rationing it, but using it while I'm working, because I've been working at home, so that's been fun. Okay, now we're done with the retreat stuff. Sorry about that, guys. So those were my FFOs, part of why I wasn't filming, secret stitching. But I do have some other finished pieces. So before the retreat, and I don't think I showed this to you guys before I went, but I did tell you that I wanted to get this piece finished. And this is To All a Good Night by Autumn Lane Stitchery. And it is stitched on 28 count opalescent white cashel linen with a called for DMC. And this was so much fun to stitch. I enjoyed every stitch. And you can see down on the bottom, Aaron was kind enough to sign this for me. We did do a meet and greet with both him and his wife Cassandra and their son Maverick. And they would sign 2 items for us. So Aaron signed this stitched piece. I just have to be careful when I iron it to not use steam on that section. And he also signed one of my charts. So that is To All a Good Night, and that was finished before the retreat. And then while I was at the retreat, and these are kind of wrinkled because I didn't do a really good job with my project roll on the way home, but while I was at the retreat, I finished this one. And this is My Necessity by Heartstring Samplery. There's the whole thing. This is stitched 2/2 on 32 count Winter Moon Belfast with Gentle Arts Cinders. Let me see if you can get, with the light being what it is, it's hard to see. There's, this is essentially a black thread, and it has red sections in it, like glowing cinders or embers. So let me see if I can show you up close slowly. So this says, "You're the cream in my coffee. You're the lace in my shoe. My necessity. I'd be lost without you." And this is part of Heartstring Samplery's coffee series. She has a whole series of designs around coffee. And if you read the information inside the chart, it's pretty funny because she doesn't drink coffee. But I think her grandmother did, and I think that's where she got her appreciation for coffee. So what I did was I had the whole thing stitched except for like this section of the very bottom band. And then I finished it and got to ring the bell at the retreat, and put it on the brag table. So I really wish you could see how pretty this thread is. Maybe there's a hint of it there. I just really, really love this thread. So I have a couple skeins left, which is good. So maybe I'll do something else monochromatic with it or small. And then a couple recent finishes. This is Pumpkin Blossom Inn by Pinker and Punkin Quilting. And I started this last year as part of the Pumpkin Birthday Sal hashtag Stitch Along that Laura from Stitching by the Shore does every year for her birthday. Her birthday's in October, so she says, you know, stitch something with pumpkins, something pumpkin colored, in any way pumpkin adjacent. So this is, you can find this chart, it's a freebie, on the Pinker and Punkin blog, which I will link below. She's incredibly generous with her talent. All of her charts are free on her blog, and she just has some great designs, a lot of houses, some seasonal designs, lots of fun things there. This is just a printout from my printer, so it's not great and clear. But this is what her model looked like. And then I will show you my changes. You'll see mine looks slightly different. So this is stitched one strand of floss over 2 threads on, ooh, that was an ugly change. On 40 over 2 threads on 40 count Verdal in the color Sand Dollar by Be Stitch Me. And you'll see I have a blue house, not an orange house. I have a copper colored roof instead of a red roof. And the other thing you'll notice is that I've got 2 different colored birds. This one here, that's as they're charted. This other guy down here on the corner, I was pushing to get him finished the other day. He was the last thing I had to stitch on this. And I got to about the top, from the top of his head down to the beginning of his wing, and I realized I had picked the wrong color. And I decided I was just going to go with it and reverse the 2 grays. And I don't think it looks bad. So other changes that I made. So my house is a blue, variegated blue, limited edition Victorian motto thread. There is no name, it's just called limited edition. The roof is in Heirloom Pumpkins by Victorian motto. The pumpkins are actually in Autumn's Bounty by Victorian motto, and the green is called Autumn Green by Victorian motto. And I can't get any closer, it turns it really yellow like that. I'm sorry, guys. But this was a fun stitch, and I like the way it turned out. The other thing I did was I filled in my windows with the yellow thread that's in the pumpkin blossoms. The thread that the color that was called for in the chart is very close to the color of my fabric. It's this color that's in the center of those pumpkins up there, and it just I thought the windows would look funny that way, because even these pumpkins look almost like those center designs aren't stitched. So I used yellow. It's autumn, gets dark early, lights are on, right? And then my final finish that I just finished last night, and this is one of my Whipco calls from some point in the year. I kind of fell down on the Whip Go thing with all the secret stitching and traveling. But this is Blackwork Christmas Rose by Kitty and Me. And this is from the 2005 Just Cross Stitch Ornament issue. And now that it's finished, I love it. But let me tell you, it does look like, it's not focusing great. It does look like there's a pattern in that blackwork in it. But I had a real tough time finding any kind of a rhythm to stitch that. Took me a while to get that stitched. Like I said, I love the result. And probably somebody else looking at it would have looked at it and said, oh, just do it this way. But it's done, and I'm happy, and I can mark off another square on one of my Whip Go boards if I choose to. And that'll be part of my finishing for next year's Whip Go. That's all my finishes. Pretty good. I'm happy. I've had some pretty significant finishes this year and a bunch of ornament finishes, so I'm pleased with my progress. But I also have touched, since I saw you last, a bunch of WIPs, or works in progress, WIP, work in progress. If you're new to the stitching community and you hear that term, that's what it means. And I'm sure if you've been around, you don't mind us explaining it from time to time. So the first thing that I worked on after we visited last is Arabesque by Jan Hicks Creates. And I started this with Beth from the Steadfast Stitcher. I'll link her down below, and Laura from Stitching by the Shore. And we're all doing this in different colors, color combinations. So as soon as I saw this, I knew I wanted to go for a Great Gatsby look. It's Art Nouveau, that's what I always think of. And so I'm stitching mine on 32 count antique white Jobelin with a Silks for You silk, the black. It's PR, I think it's PR010 or PR10, which is their true black thread, and it is so pretty and such a joy to work with. And then I'm using Petite Treasure Braid in PB01. It's a gold. So I'm happy with the progress I made on this. I think what I worked on was this border here. And then I know I did part of this flower here. And I haven't worked on it recently because I'm kind of winging the color placement, and I want to spend some time thinking about it as I stitch it. And really lately, especially when my foot was bothering me, I was really just looking for straightforward comfort stitching. So there is Arabesque by Jan Hicks. I know Beth is stitching hers in a blue thread. Laura is using a red, although I don't think she's using the called for. I think she picked up a different thread. And both their pieces are lovely. Neither one of them has worked on them in their most recent videos, but I'm sure they'll be coming out again soon. We all find the piece, it's a lot of fun to work on. So, and of course now that I got it out to show you guys, I'm thinking, wow, I should really work on that again. I really want to get some more done on it. Next up is Summer Quaker by Leela Studios. Sorry for that little bit of glare. I know you guys have all seen this. I started this in the summer of 2023, also with Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, and Laura, Stitching by the Shore. And both of these pieces, they have hashtags, and I know we're not going to be able to follow hashtags. Hopefully we'll still be able to search on them. I'll try to list them down below. I know hashtags will work on YouTube still, they're telling us. I'll try to look them up and put them down below in case you want to see what other people are doing. So I am stitching my Summer Quaker on 18 count Aida. It's the called for color, and I'm drawing a blank. It's Cappuccino, Cafe. It's a fiber on the whim fabric, and like I said, it is the called for color. I'm just using Aida because that's what I had. And here's where I'm at with this. I think I might have a before picture on some of these, so I'm going to put before pictures in if I have them. And here's where I'm at. I'm stitching the centerpiece first, and I've got that seaweed border, and there's a partial page with the back end of the ship and the beginning of the whale, and then one full page which goes up to where you can see the water stopped there. and the houses. So I've got one full page and one partial page complete. And I think there's one full page and one partial page left to go. So this is a lot of fun. I'm stitching the center first because all that water is full coverage, and I figured if I put that to last, I'd struggle to do it. So I'm doing all that, and then I'll do the fun Quaker bits on the outside. So if you go to Laura Stitching by the Shore, I know she's stitching the outside first, and she showed, I'm trying to think, Laura, I apologize, I watched your latest video. I think she showed Spring Quaker. I don't know if she showed Summer Quaker in her latest video. But if you watch her regularly, I'm sure you've seen her progress. And she is stitching the outside. She found, I know there's some errors in the seaweed border, and she found a couple other things. I think the letter placement is wrong, and she worked around that and got that fixed. I'll have to go back and make a note of what she said. So next up for me is Loose Feathers by Blackbird Designs, and there's what it's going to look like. I know you guys have seen this. It's been a lot of people have stitched this, but this is the 3 seasons. So it's got summer, fall, and winter, and I'm working on autumn right now. I have one more stitching session on this for a challenge in the Whip Warriors Facebook group, so it's still in the Q-Snap. But I think I had summer finished, or finished it shortly after we visited, and so everything on the autumn piece is from this diamond border over. So it's all the letters. I stitch a bunch of the letters down at Queen City, and then the pumpkins, the bird, the bottom and top, those little zigzaggy borders. Like I said, I've got one more stitching session on this, so next time I'll probably take it out of it'll probably be out of the Q-Snap, and then I can show you the whole thing that I've got done so far. That's stitch 2/2 on 32 count antique lace by Seraphim, and I'm using all the called for threads in that one. Next up is Sir Thomas by Glendon Place. I started this back in 2022, I think 2 years ago. I know I saw Pam, who's stitching in the Land of Good Enough, and she owns Stitch New England. She started stitching this, and she was talking about how much fun it is to stitch, and it is. It's a lot of fun to stitch, and he's so sparkly. I ordered all of the called for threads from Carlette Cobweb Corner, including the Sullivans. I wanted to try the Sullivan's floss, which I like a lot. It's really comparable to DMC, I think, in feel. Actually, I think it holds up and frays a little bit less with longer lengths than DMC even. This is stitched 2/2. Well, the cotton floss is 2/2. The Rainbow Gallery fibers are all 1/2. On 28 count, China Pearl Jovelin, which is the called for. And you can't see the sparkle, but like this is metallic here, metallic here. This light blue, it's here and over here in his chest, is a silk lame braid, so that's got a little bit of sparkle to it. And then he's going to have a ton of beads. I don't know if you can see those empty spots there. Those are all going to be beads. So yeah, he's a lot of fun. Definitely won't be finished this year, but I'll probably give him a little bit more time up until Thanksgiving, because I've really been enjoying working on him. And then if you look at the Instagram page, I think it's the Crosstitch Calendar that lists out any stitch-alongs or SALs, start-along, stitch-along, SAL that are going on. I noticed that there was one starting on November 15th for Teresa Wensler. Was it Time to Stitch a Wensler? I think I'll put it down below. And I've got 3 or 4 Teresa Wensler whips. But I decided to pull out Father Winter. And this is one that you don't necessarily see stitched a lot. I bought it as a Janlin kit. You can see that there. And if you look, the cover model has a year of 1991. I think I bought it shortly after it was released. I'm using all of the kit materials, although I've been thinking about, I may not do this outer border. And my husband made a comment when he was looking at it last weekend about the alphabet. He's not a stitcher, doesn't get why we stitch alphabets. But I got thinking I might be able to change the words, maybe put Merry Christmas or something down at the bottom. And I'm thinking about doing, so the deer, this wreath border, which is going to be a ton of stitching, and then this bottom piece. And maybe the innermost green border here. I don't know. I'm thinking about changing it up. But I will also tell you that this chart is available. I don't know if it was ever released as a leaflet. I think it was. I think Amy has it. Amy, Fiber Arts Amy, has it as a leaflet. And she showed it in her most recent Wentzler Whip and Kit Parade. I'll link that video down below as well. If you're a Teresa Wentzler fan, it definitely was eye candy and worth watching. But it was, I bought it as a kit. She has it, I believe, as a leaflet. It's in Teresa Wentzler's Best of Christmas book. Now, the original leaflet, the kit chart, and the Best of Wentzler book, if you are a Teresa Wentzler fan and you've been stitching since these charts were released, you know that charts back at that point in time were hand-drawn. So the Wentzler book has the charts broken down a little differently than my kit chart, but it is still essentially the hand-drawn chart. You can also go to patternsonline.com and buy a digital version of the chart, and the symbols, it uses the same symbols, but it's actually a computer-generated rework of the chart, and I'm finding it much easier to stitch from. I think mostly just because in this day and age, as we stitch newer things, we're more used to looking at charts those ways. It's also a little bigger grid, you know, squares are bigger, easier for the older eyes to read, which might be part of it as well. So again, I think I have a progress picture that I'm going to stick in over here. But, or, you know, where it was before I pulled it out. But here's where I've gotten to on this. And I'm really happy with my progress. So I did some back stitching down here around his footrest, his boots. I did a little bit in the gold part of his robe, but I don't like it. I think they called for, I forget if it was 841, and 840 is a shade darker, and it's also used in the chart. But anyway, I think I'm going to go with the shade darker thread on the rest of his robe. I'm going to leave what I did. But I stitched this whole tree. That was a lot of fun, and I really like how that came up. I stitched the blue here, the blue down here, filled in some gaps. So I'm really happy with my progress on this. And this checks off another one of it was on my WhipGo board, so I did check off another box on the board, even though I've kind of given up on it for this year. I am going to do it again next year because it really got me touching pieces that I haven't touched in a while. I got a bunch of ornaments stitched that you know, I've had fabric and stuff for, and I also got some FFO'd and finished. So I'm pleased. Hopefully next year I'll be able to stick with it a little bit more. I won't decide to do, you know, 5 gifts for the retreat at the last minute and can keep up, you know, that kind of thing. But I think I'll be doing it again next year. My next start, so, well, that's the last of my whips. So I've had some starts because that's what we do. You know, I did finish a bunch of pieces this year, and instead of ending the year with fewer whips than I started, I'm adding to it again. But it's all in good fun, and what's the sense of having these things if we're not going to stitch them, right? So this start, Andrew, the runner stitcher, I'll link him down below. I'm sure you guys are watching him. He's a lot of fun. But he ran the Chicago Marathon, and he suggested doing a stitch along. any piece that you wanted, but to stitch on the day of the marathon, stitch the number 10 stitches for each mile that he ran. And a marathon is 26.1 miles, so it was 260 stitches. And I decided that I've had the chart Pretty Little Chicago by Satsuma Street for quite a while. Chicago is one of my favorite cities to visit. I love visiting there. And I figured this was the perfect reason to start it. So I did. And I got a bit over 260 stitches in. But here's where I'm at with that. So it's a lot of white, and my background fabric is lighter colored, but I stitched the L train in the middle. It's stitched on 18 count Stormy Clouds Ada, which is a printed Zweigart fabric. And I'm stitching 2 threads over 1 with all the called for DMC. So that's where I'm at with that. This was a fun, quick, easy, it really didn't take that long to do, and I'm looking forward to getting back to that one. And I have to laugh. I watch videos, and I say the same thing. We show these things, you're like, I can't wait to get back to it. I love this piece. Well, that's good, because why would we stitch it if we didn't love it, right? And I apologize, the dogs are calling for dinner, but I'm going to push on because I'm getting very close to the end of this, so let's push on and get it done, right? So at the retreat, I started 2 Autumn Lane pieces. The first one is Falling Leaves and Coffee, Please. Fall is my favorite season. I love coffee, so this one's kind of a no-brainer. And I decided I was going to stitch it 1 over 1 on a piece of 25 count even weave in almost like it's like a light natural or an oatmeal kind of color that I got on clearance at Hobby Lobby. And here's where I got to. And anyone who was at my table will tell you that this circle is the bane of my existence. I can't tell you how many times I frogged it, and it's still not right, and I just had to put it down before I threw it across the room. I'm going to try one more time to get the circle to match up right, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to pitch this. I've got plenty of fabric that I can use for other smalls and start over and maybe stitch it either on a piece of Ada or 2 over 2 on a bigger count. So as best I can tell, from the tree over this way is correct, but somewhere in here I've got, on this side, I've got a mistake and I can't figure it out. So I had put the tree in along with this line across, trying to get some reference points for counting. Yeah. So we'll see. Like I said, hopefully I can figure it out, because I really like the idea of doing it on that fabric. We'll just have to see if, fresh eyes can find where the problem is. And then the other piece I started was so Amy and Maggie picked 2 pieces to be kind of a stitch-along piece if you wanted to, just for fun, not a requirement, from Autumn Lane. And one of them was Hard Old Hag, and I'm not a Halloween stitcher. I'm just not. Although, if anybody was going to change that, it could be Aaron from Autumn Lane Stitchery. He's got some really cute witches and some just his use of color is just gorgeous. So that may change. We'll see. But the other piece was this Lovebirds, and this was the one that I decided to do. And I started it at the retreat. And I'm stitching it on, let me see, this is 32 count Monet Lagana by Picture This Plus. And I'm stitching it with, let me see, I wrote down the sulky color, a sulky blendable, color 4110. And that's where I'm at. I decided as I was working on it, I mean, I love these colors, I love it on the fabric, but I think I'm going to possibly do like maybe the birds in a solid DMC, because you can see how quickly the colors are changing here in this, and I think I would like having some solid thread in there. So I'm gonna think about that for a while. I'm thinking about DMC 550, that real nice purple, might be a good color. I've got a couple other solids picked that are kind of show up in the sulky. So it's one strand of sulky over 2 fabric threads. It's the 12 weight sulky. I don't have it out. I bought it on a big spool, or you can get the small ones. But it's nice stitching with just one thread. I don't mind stitching with 2 threads. I know I've heard people that tend to stitch on higher counts have said, they're like, I don't like to stitch with 2 threads anymore. I don't mind it. I like the loop start. I'm more proficient with the loop start than the pin stitch, but it is what it is. And then my next piece, I apologize, I forgot to bring the picture up. This is a sweetheart tree ornament from, I don't remember what year, but it's from one of the Just Cross Stitch ornament issues. And this is going to be, it's called Merry Christmas Bell Pull. And I started this last night after I finished the other ornament, because I had them all pulled together. It's another one of my Whip Go calls. This is on a piece of, it's probably natural opalescent linen, I think it's 32 count, using the called for threads. If you look close, you'll see I had to frog because I misread the directions and did some back stitching all in that red color. But this should stitch up pretty quickly. It's got some specialty stitches in it, which are always fun. And the finishing shouldn't be too bad on this once it's done, because it's all satin stitched around the edge, or blanket stitched, something like that. So should be fairly easy to FFO when I get that far. Next up is a Mill Hill Buttons and Beads kit. This is, and I'll try, the glare's not too bad. This is Aurora Borealis. I've had this for a while. We were able to see the Northern Lights a couple times this year here in New York, so it felt appropriate to start it. And it's stitched on 14 count perforated paper, which was really great for my eyes, and it's big blocks of color while I wasn't feeling so great after my surgery. So here's where I'm at. And I tell you, if you stitch on perforated paper, these wooden frames are just the bee's knees. Your thread doesn't catch on the edge of the paper. It holds it secure, and I'm really enjoying using that. So here's where I'm at on this. Pretty happy with my progress. This was, I think, 2 or 3 evenings stitching, and I wasn't staying awake very long because I was getting tired easily, as you will when you're recovering. So it's stitched on a purple colored perforated paper with DMC threads. It's going to have a bunch of beads. I think some of them are supposed to be glow in the dark, if I remember correctly. It doesn't say here, but I think, oh yeah, it does. Right down the bottom of the corner, Paula. Glow in the dark beads. That'll be fun. I don't know how long they'll stay, but once I get them stitched on there, we'll check it out. And then my friend Kelly from Pages and Stitches was talking on her channel about starting on November 3rd is Culture Day in Japan. And she and Tammy Cinnamon Stitches were going to start a new stitch along, or start along, called the Gorgeous Geisha Sal. And she said she was gonna stitch one of the Mirabilia geishas, and I know Jennifer, my table mate, is stitching Sakura by Autumn Lane Stitchery, which is an absolutely gorgeous chart. And I was thinking, well, maybe I'd buy Sakura, maybe I'd just pass on this stitch along. You know, I'm a sucker for them, except they tend to be start alongs. I think that happens with a lot of us. But then Kelly mentioned, well, she was thinking she was going to do hers as a mini Mirabilia. So either like over 1 on a 25 count, or on a 40, over 2 on a 40 count, or maybe even a 20 count Ada. And that sucked me in. I know you guys saw my Inkberry Holly Fairy. I really enjoyed stitching a tiny Mira. So when I saw the one that Kelly was doing, which is Miss Dancing Flower, and here she is. Isn't she pretty? Look at all those colors. Look at her. And she's got her headpiece. I initially thought it was her hair, and then her hair looked a little not completely neat and tidy, which is how mine often is. But once she saw this, I said, you know what? I'm going to do her, and I'm going to join this, and I'm going to do it over one. And I knew that I was going to the Queen City retreat, and I knew that Amy, Fiber Arts Amy, who also owns Oak Crown Studios, which is a fabric dyeing business, was going to be there, and she would probably have something absolutely perfect for this this piece. So I was going to pick up, she does 20 count Aida. She's one of the dyers who does 20 count Aida. So I was like, okay, I can do that. Well, what I didn't realize was that one of the pieces that Amy dyed specifically for the retreat in a color called Orchid, which I got a piece of in 20 count, was going to be wonderful for Miss Dancing Flower. So I didn't have to buy fabric, although I admit that I did. And here's my start. This is a couple days stitching. She is an amazing stitch, like most Mirabilias are. I'm really happy with my progress. I like how those colors look so far. And then here are the rest of her colors. Look at how pretty those colors are. So she's going to be a lot of fun to stitch. And I'm going to be a broken record and say I can't wait to get back to her, right? So there's no end date to this. If you want to join in, it is the hashtag #GorgeousGeishaSal. Go ahead and join us. All you have to do is stitch any geisha, any one at all, by any designer. I will put the hashtag down below, and if you go find Kelly's channel, she talks about it. I think she talks about it on Instagram too. So that is the last of my new starts. That's all the stitching that I think I worked on since we visited last. Had a couple other items that I wanted to throw out for discussion. Bear with me here for a minute. I got one thing over here that I wanted to reach out and do. So I did pick up a little bit of haul, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. So this is the 2024 Just Cross Stitch, no longer ornament, now just Christmas issue. And it's Bobby from Stitching Bits and Bobs out in Michigan emailed the company Just Cross Stitch about this, and this is going to be the format going forward. So it's not just ornaments anymore. It is all different size pieces. I myself was pretty disappointed in this issue. I generally get it specifically for ornaments, and I stitch a lot of the ornaments from there. I'm sure if I look through it again, I'm going to find pieces eventually that I want to stitch, but I don't buy this for big picture type pieces. I buy it for ornaments. And I've always pre-ordered it, usually from Cecilia's Samplers. And yeah, I'm not going to be pre-ordering it anymore. I can look through the Just Cross Stitch issues on the Libby app at my library. So I'll look through it and see if it's worth purchasing in the future or not. And since it's not going, and part of why I bought it every year, let's admit, it's the other part of this hobby we have. I had a collection. I had every Christmas ornament issue from the first one. So I really didn't want to have an incomplete collection, right? So even the years that I really wasn't crazy about a lot of the designs, I bought it. And you know what? I've gone back and I found a lot of designs. And I think what also made it a bit disappointing for me is that last year I found so many that I wanted to stitch from there. I stitched 2 designs from there and finished them by March of last year. One because I have a particular FFOing technique I want to try, which I haven't gotten there. And the other one, I just really liked it, and it fit in with a stitch along that Memphis Sarah E. was doing for her birthday. I forget what it was, something fancy. And I stitched the tree with the sparkly gold shoes, because you can't have gold shoes and not be fancy, right? So anyway, I'd like to hear your thoughts. You know, I know they're changing the format of the magazine. I actually think that the quarterly issues have been better, and I found more that I actually liked in them, and borrowed a physical copy from my library so I could stitch, just because the digital wasn't working for me on my phone. I only had Libby on my phone, not on my tablet, so it was hard for me to stitch from. So I know they're changing, and I'm just not a fan of this particular change, but I'm sure there are people that like it, and I know I'll find things in it that I want to stitch eventually as I look through it over time, but it's not going to be an automatic purchase for me anymore. And then the other thing, so lots of folks have been buying pony needles, and I wanted to try them. And I got some from the Silver Needle in a recent order, and I figured I'd give them a try, because I always try to buy needles, because that's one thing, I mean, we're always going to need, right? So the package that I got looks like this, okay? So it's a round package, the eyes are colored based on the size of the needle. 26 count is red, 26 count is blue, 24 is black, 22 is yellow. So if you can see that. And I'm sorry for the glare, it's still in the plastic packaging, because I wanted to make sure that I read this. So I looked on the back, and the product information on the back says that it's made by Needle Industries India Private Ltd, and gives the town and city in India. And when this arrived, what I had noticed was that I had bought from Hobby Lobby a pack of Singer needles that looks like this, and that's got glare on it too, and it's assorted sizes, and 28s are red, the 26 are blue, the eyes are colored, the 24 is black, the 22 is yellow. And I looked on the back, I said, well, that's interesting. And they're made, these Singer needles are made in India as well. So here's the two together. So I don't mind paying a little higher price for a good needle that's going to last. I'm not, not above doing that. It's a tool. Needles and scissors, I think, are worth, spending a little bit more on if you can. But the thing that stood out to me is that these look the same. They're both made in India. I'm wondering if they're made in the same place. And the price, I paid $9 for this pack from the Silver Needle, the pony named needles. And I paid $4.49, literally half, for these Singer needles. So I'm going to try them. I'm going to do a comparison. I'll let you guys know. If anybody that's watching has tried both of them and has any feedback, definitely leave me feedback below. Let me know if you've tried them, what you think, and let's talk about it. Just an interesting thing that I found that I thought I'd share with you guys, and I'll update you on what it is that I found. And then the last thing I have to show you is, and this is going to be glary, but I got a piece of Happy Mail. A good friend of mine, who knew I was having surgery, sent me this Dimensions Gold kit. And oh, her colors are not showing up, but isn't she gorgeous? She is Wintertime Fairy. I believe the art is by Meredith Dillman. But she is just blues and purples and sparkles. Look at her. Oh, she's so good. So I haven't started her only because I sent an email to Dimensions with my picture of the kit materials and the chart, and I'm waiting for them to send me, I just did it today, and I'm waiting for them to send me a digital version of the chart, because look at that background. that's solidly stitched, I'm going to need to put her in markup RXP. So friends of mine have done it. They say that you can email dimensions and get a digital copy of the chart, and that it will load into Pattern Maker or Markup. So I'm excited about that. I'll be looking forward to starting her. She'll be a fun wintertime stitch. So that's almost everything. The last thing is that when I was watching Pam and Steph's video, and Pam made mention of the fact that I was their gold floss tuber. And so this is going to be a two-part celebration. I'm going to do a giveaway. But she also mentioned that I filmed my first video in November of 2020, which I didn't realize. I've never gone back to look and see. So it's kind of my 4-year FlossTube anniversary. So isn't that cool? That's kind of cool. So I decided, before the Queen City retreat, I had made a bunch of counting pins that I didn't take with me because I forgot them, that I was going to trade, give away, whatever. So ironically, some of them have gold beads, some of them have silver beads. So I thought I'd do a giveaway. I'm going to give away 2 sets of counting pins. The first set is this set of gold pins, if you can see them there. Okay. And I'm not going to send them in this felt ball. I'll send them in a piece of wool felt. And I'm going to say this is open to anywhere because I should be able to ship these in just a plain envelope. So if you're interested in these gold ones, let's use the word gold. Okay, gold, G-O-L-D. And since Pam and Steph's segment is gold and silver, they have a gold FlossTube friend and a silver FlossTube friend. If you're interested in this set of silver counting pins, you see that? They aren't exactly identical like the gold ones are, and they're a little bit longer, but they do have their corsage pins. They came with the piece on the bottom. But if you would like these, I know that's a little blurry, my camera, I'm going to have to upgrade my camera eventually here. But if you would like these, the silver ones, use the word silver. And again, I'll send these anywhere because I should be able to just put these in a regular envelope. So if you're interested in a pair of counting pins, you can enter for both. I'm only going to send, if you win the gold ones, I'm not going to send you the silver ones even if I call your name twice. So leave me a comment. Please be a subscriber. I'd love that. And don't use the words giveaway, anything that's going to attract the trolls. And also be 18 so that I can legally ask you for your address. So that's about it for me. Let me just check my notes real quick, make sure I said everything I wanted to say, which I'm pretty sure I did. Oh, one other thing, plans. So pretty much till the end of the year, I'm going to stitch what I want to stitch. I'm going to abandon my Whip Go boards, but I am going to do Whip Go again next year, and I haven't yet decided what that's going to look like, but I'm going to be thinking about that soon. I also did get the Black Needle Society Nice Box, but I'm not going to do a video a day. I may do a video a week, maybe film a little snippet, vlog style. We'll see what I do with that, but I'll share the contents of that with you. And if you're interested in stitching a chatelaine mandala, Amy, Fiber Arts Amy, Maggie, Kitschy Whips are starting a chatelaine stitch along for the Water Garden. The chart number is CHAT, C-H-A-T 022. It's not one of the really big mandala pieces. It doesn't have a lot of specialty fibers or beads in it, so it's pretty affordable. But they're starting a stitch along. Anybody can join. I'll link to, I know Amy did a video, Maggie might have done a video too, it might have been an Instagram post. I'll link the information below. They're going to start January 1st, and they've spoken with European Crosstitch. Because it's not silk heavy, you should be able to get your materials if you order like really soon from them. You should be able to get your materials in time. And they are, I believe they're running a Black Friday sale. I think it's still going on, so it's like 20% off. I'll link their website down below. I got my order in as soon as I saw the sale announcement. Also, if you're looking for something other than a standard fabric, Amy, Fiber Arts Amy, Oak Crown Studios, she does what she calls chatelaine cuts of fabrics, which are square cuts, so you don't have to buy like a full fat half. I will link her video because she talks about the fabrics that she's suggesting for this particular piece. It is a stitch along for the specific chart. They're going to divide it up into sections so that everybody, and not hugely demanding sections, but they're going to kind of divide it up so that everybody's kind of working together and to kind of guide people to finish it so we can compare notes and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited about that. That'll be January 1st. That'll be my New Year start. It'll be fun to see who's going to participate in that. And other than that, I'm just going to keep stitching. So I'm going to sign off because I'm sure you heard my dogs barking a little bit ago. And they're ready for their dinner. I'm going to try to clean this up. That's the worst part of filming a floss tube, really, is the cleanup. Putting everything back. So with that said, I'm going to try to get back on here in a couple weeks. I will see you soon. Happy Thanksgiving to those in the United States. Stay safe. Be healthy. Love you. See you soon.